They thought you were slow, but really you were just quiet. You stayed calm while they kept running their mouths. Now, all that noise they made is turning into regret. And the funny part, it's not because you hit back. You didn't have to. You let them think they were winning. You let them talk like they knew what they were doing. You let them laugh while you stayed 2 steps ahead, watching it all play out. You were silent, not clueless. You were steady, not weak. You were collecting every move like a trained mind sitting still and focused, just waiting, watching, letting them reveal themselves little by little. And now they're not mocking you anymore. Now they're whispering your name, but not how they used to. The talk has changed. They're not laughing at your past. They're not brushing you off. That's all gone now. The new rumor? You're sharp. You see too much. You're not someone to mess with. You're the one people are nervous to even bring up now. They're saying, that one? Yeah, they're no fool. That one knows what's going on. Be careful around them. And the thing is, you're not even in those rooms anymore, yet your name is still shaking the table. Just think about that. Imagine a snake slithering around thinking you can't see it. It spits lies, thinking you can't hear that fake tone. But you were never blind. You were just watching. You were patient. You let them dig their own hole while they thought they were setting a trap for you. And now, they're the ones stuck. Let's clear something up real quick. You weren't dumb. You were done. Done wasting your mind on people who weren't worth it. Or you weren't clueless. You were quiet because you were paying attention. You didn't need to fight back. You let time handle that. That's what's messing with their heads now. The way you never argued, never got loud, never tried to prove anything, or you just knew. You let it play out. And now the truth they tried to hide? It's all out in the open. And you never had to lift a finger. Studies say smart people are often misunderstood. Why? Because they watch more than they speak. They wait. They let things fall apart to see who's still standing. That's you, chosen one. Your silence was never weakness. It was a power move. It was your shield. And now that you're not reacting, now that you're not explaining yourself or proving anything, people are starting to panic. And I want to thank you, chosen one, for still being here. If you're listening to this, it means you're still holding that power and still walking in your truth. Get to like and subscribe, because this message, it's not just about you. It's about everyone who's ever been called too quiet or too deep or too sensitive just because they didn't fight the way others do. We're not just watching anymore. We're bringing truth to the surface. And you being here helps push that message forward. So thank you. You're not just part of a story. You're part of a movement. Back to it. The reason they're whispering now, it's not because they're jealous. It's because they're scared. You don't chase crowds. You don't beg for attention. You don't care about getting even. And that freaks them out. You've become someone they can't figure out. Someone they can't read. And people hate what they can't understand. You used to be the quiet one, the one they overlooked. The one they thought was too nice, too sensitive, too out of place. But you were really just reading the whole situation like an expert. You were seeing past the fake smiles and shallow words. And now, when you walk into a room, people shift. Not because you're loud, not because you're flashy, but because you know. You know who lied. You know who smiled while stabbing you in the back. And the wildest part, you never called them out. That's why the gossip is serious now. It's not jokes anymore, it's warnings. People are saying, don't mess with that one, they see everything. Your name now carries weight, and not because you clapped back, but because you didn't have to. You moved smarter, you moved silently, and now your silence echoes louder than their noise ever could. Let's be real, being smart isn't just about knowing facts, it's about reading people, feeling the shift in the room, catching the lie behind a compliment, spotting the fake energy behind a handshake. You've got that gift. You don't argue anymore. You don't try to explain, you just walk away. And your absence hurts more than any words ever could. That's the part that eats them alive, because you're not playing their game anymore. You stopped reacting, and that's what really shook them. Here's what really gets to them. You're the kind of person people can't lie to, not because you catch them in the moment, but because you log it, and you remember. You don't need proof, you just need time. And that messes with them. You bring a kind of truth that's uncomfortable. You're a mirror, and that makes people nervous, Because when you hold up a mirror to someone who's living in denial, they either face it or run from it. Most run. They're not used to someone who doesn't fall for their usual tricks. You don't take the bait. You don't let them get under your skin. That's why they warn each other about you. They say, don't lie to that one, they'll know. And the scariest part for them? You won't even call them out, you'll just vanish. And they'll be stuck with the weight of their own guilt, wondering if you saw through them. You did, and you always will. Chosen one, this isn't about being proud or showing off. This is about being clear. You've grown into someone who doesn't need to clap back or prove their intelligence. You are the proof. You are the consequence. So yeah, let them talk. Let them say you're too smart, too alert, too unshakable. Let them say you're not the one to mess with. Because all of it, it's true. And you didn't have to yell to get there. You just stayed true to yourself. Before we really dive in, Chosen One, if this message is hitting something deep inside you, drop a 77 in the comments. Show the world that you're not just smart, you're untouchable, that you've been looked down on for the last time. And if you feel led to support this message, hit that super thanks below. Whether it's a small amount or a big one, your support keeps this message alive, spreading truth where lies used to win. You're not just watching, you're unlocking something inside yourself and others. And now, let's break this down, step by step. Stay close, because if you really are the one they're whispering about, this next part is going to feel like someone's reading your mind. Let's start with the first truth. They can't compete with something you didn't even study for. They thought you were quiet because you had nothing to say. No, you were just watching them lie with confidence. That's what's got their pride shaking now. You never sat at their tables. You never followed their teachers. You never copied their style. And yet somehow, you still know more. You don't talk much, but when you do, it cuts deep. You don't show off, but your presence shifts the whole room. That's what scares them. You didn't go looking for this intelligence. It was already in you. You didn't learn it. You remembered it. And that kind of wisdom, it doesn't wear fancy words or chase attention. It just is. Raw, unfiltered, honest. The kind of intelligence that doesn't need to prove anything because it already knows the truth. And that drives them crazy. Because if they can't figure out where your strength comes from, they can't control it. And if they can't control it, they fear it. That's why they whisper. That's why they joke in nervous tones. Because they're finally realizing you weren't taught this. You were born with it. While they were copying scripts, you were reading energy. While they were bragging about status, you were tracking real truth with no words needed. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a random gift. It was always part of you. They just couldn't see it because you weren't shouting it. Let's flip it real quick. You ever notice how people only call you intimidating when they realize they can't play you? That's not a compliment, that's a signal. A warning they send to others, watch out. That one doesn't fall for games. And it's true. You don't fall, you analyze, you wait. You pretend you don't see it just long enough to let them trip over themselves. And when it all comes out, you're already 10 steps ahead. They're not scared of your intelligence because it's loud. They're scared because it isn't. Because it doesn't need a stage. Because it doesn't need approval. Your mind is like a shadow that tracks every fake smile, every lie, every false word, and sees it clearly. That's what keeps them up at night. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a place and suddenly felt the shift? Like people didn't know whether to smile at you or avoid you completely. That's not in your head. That's your intelligence working. You noticed things they didn't even think you caught. You remembered what they thought you'd forget. You stayed quiet, but you saw it all. And now, they feel that every time you walk in. You don't speak it, you just carry it. And we're going even deeper. You don't just see people, you feel through them. You hear the truth even when no one's talking. You can tell something's off just from the way someone looks at you. That's not something you can learn in a class. That's soul-level awareness. You were born with it, built with it, and they can't fake it. That's what makes you different. Of course, they'll never admit that. They'll call you strange. They'll say you're paranoid. They'll say you think too much. But deep down, they know. You've been right too many times. You've predicted things before they happened. You've warned people and they didn't listen. And when everything went down just like you said, they stopped laughing. They got real quiet. They looked at you different. And the part that breaks them most? They had access to you when you were still giving chances, when you still believed people meant well, when you were soft, open, trusting, but now you're smart in a new way. You still care, but you remember. You still love, but you see everything. You've become someone they can't trick again, and that makes you powerful. They'll fake support now. They'll act like they always believed in you. They'll rewrite history like they were always on your side. But you remember who laughed, who doubted, who said you wouldn't make it. And now, every move you make, every step forward, every win, it's all proof. You didn't just survive, you outsmarted the system, you outgrew the game. And now they can't even guess your next step. Let them talk, chosen one. Let them whisper. Let them say you're too smart, too aware, too strategic. Let them wonder how you saw it coming. Because what they call scary, that's just what happens when someone finally remembers who they are. And you didn't just learn your strength, you remembered it. Dear chosen ones, your love inspires us to create meaningful content just for you. If our efforts have touched your heart, you can show your support by clicking the Super Thanks button on your YouTube screen. Every bit of your kindness means the world to us and keeps us going. Thank you for being the amazing support system that you are. Now back to the topic. You've now become someone they can't play anymore. And that's exactly why they keep whispering about you. You don't have to call out someone who tries to manipulate you. You just remove yourself from their reach, and the lies fall apart by themselves. They didn't lose control of you. You just stopped acting like you didn't notice what they were doing. Real power doesn't always speak loudly. The most dangerous kind of power is the one that's quiet, still, but fully aware. You don't argue. You already know. Picture someone trying to play chess with a person who already knows how the game ends 10 moves ahead, but still plays along just to see them trip over their own pieces. That's you now, chosen one. You've become unreadable. You've become the one they can't upset, can't control, can't trick anymore. You were the one they used to say was too soft, too emotional, too forgiving. But now they know the truth. You weren't weak. You were observing. You were tracking their patterns. And the moment you stopped explaining yourself, the whole setup they were relying on fell apart. They're more careful around you now, not because you argue or fight, but because you don't fall for the bait anymore. The tricks don't work. The guilt games are dead. The compliments wrapped in shade, you catch them before they even finish talking. Now, imagine someone walking toward you with a fake smile. Their words sound sweet, but the energy behind them feels off. Their voice shifts just a little when they talk about someone else's success. There's something hidden under the sentence. You don't call it out. You don't react. You just file it away in your mind. And the next time they try something slick, you're already 10 steps ahead. That's your strength now. The entire game changed when you decided not to play anymore. The day you chose peace over drama, awareness over emotions, intelligence over reacting, that's the day they lost their grip on you. And the part that's tearing them up, you didn't make a big show about your growth. You didn't yell about it. You didn't post about it. You just moved differently. You started making choices based on patterns instead of words. That shift was quiet but powerful, and it broke their entire playbook. People who depend on manipulation need you to be emotionally caught up. That's how they pull your strings. They'll throw shade and hope you snap. They'll act like a victim and hope you rush in to fix things. But now, none of that works. You're calm, too calm, and that's when they know they've lost control. You're not reacting like you used to. You're not running in to fix things that broke because of their own behavior. You've stepped into a different game, not checkers, but chess, and you're winning. You know what's more unsettling than being called out? Being seen, fully seen, by someone who says absolutely nothing. That's your energy now. You don't need to shout your truth. You become it. You don't call out the nonsense. You just leave. And your silence? It's louder than any words. They look at you now, and they don't see someone soft. They see someone who remembers, or someone who knows what happened, someone who knows what they tried to do, and they can't handle that. When they look into your eyes now, they don't see innocence, they see their reflection. And that's the last thing manipulators want, to see themselves. Let's answer the question they're scared to ask out loud. Why don't you trust them like you used to? It's simple, because you noticed, you watched, you saw the little signs, you heard the jokes that didn't feel like jokes. You felt the guilt they tried to push onto you. You tracked the patterns: sudden kindness, random distance, fake closeness followed by silence. You saw it all, and instead of reacting, you quietly stepped back. That's what they hate most, that they can't bait you anymore. Manipulators can't stand not having someone to target, and you took that away from them. Now they're stuck performing, and nobody's watching. Imagine a snake trying to wrap around you, but instead of freezing, you calmly remove it and keep walking. That's the difference now. You don't argue with poison. You don't fight shadows. You just leave the space and let your absence do the talking. That's why they whisper now. They say, something's different. He's not falling for it anymore. She doesn't respond like she used to. They pretend like they don't understand what happened, but deep down, they know. What changed is you finally started trusting what you already felt. You stopped ignoring your intuition. You stopped needing someone else to confirm what your gut had been saying all along. And now their tricks don't work. You can hear an apology and still remember the disrespect. You can smile in someone's face while remembering exactly what they said behind your back. You can walk into a room and know exactly who's real and who's just there to use you. That kind of insight isn't something you pick up from a book. It comes from pain, from quiet lessons, from all the things you went through and learned the hard way. They don't call you emotional anymore. They call you smart. They call you calculated. But here's the truth. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not distant. You have boundaries now. You're not angry. You're healed. And healed people, they scare manipulators, because healed people don't need closure. They don't need an apology. They just walk away. They don't cry. They don't beg. They watch. They learn. And they leave. You've become mentally strong, not because you built walls around your heart, but because you've built wisdom around your choices. People don't know how to read you anymore because you're not reacting the way you used to. You used to explain everything. Now you just move in silence. You used to lower your voice to keep the peace. Now your presence is the peace, and it makes people who live in drama uncomfortable. So yes, they whisper about you. They tell each other to be careful, not because you're loud or mean, but because you don't fall for the drama, because you see too much. And they're right. You didn't announce your growth. You showed it. You didn't ask to be understood. You became the understanding. You didn't fight to prove how smart you are. You just let the results speak. And now you're untouchable. The game has changed. And you're not the one being played anymore. Let them talk. Let them warn each other. Let them try to figure out how you knew what you knew. Because the truth is, they taught you how to see through them by trying to trick you. And now, you'll never be played again. They thought your silence meant you didn't know what was going on. Now they're starting to understand that it was a strategy all along. You didn't speak up because you already knew how the story would end. You saw it unfolding before it even happened. The ones making the most noise usually have the least to say. The loudest people are often the most desperate. And now they're starting to realize that you weren't just quiet. You were smart, calculated, and thinking 5 steps ahead. You didn't need to show off. You didn't need attention. That's what bothers them. They wanted to believe you were clueless, but deep down, they know you saw the whole setup. You knew what they were trying to do, and you let it play out. Imagine a chessboard. They get excited because they captured one of your pieces. Meanwhile, you already saw the checkmate coming. That's how your mind works. While they were celebrating small wins, you were already building their downfall in your head. You're not reacting to what they said. You're studying why they said it, when they said it, and what emotional button they were trying to press. You didn't get this sharp overnight. You were trained by pain, by betrayal, by all the fake apologies and broken trust. You didn't become this strong by accident. You became this way because of what you had to survive. They thought staying quiet meant they won. But they didn't see what was going on inside you. You were tracking everything, memorizing every move, making the decision to never fall for the same move again. That's what scares them now. You don't explain, you just act. And when you act, it's clean. No mess, no drama, Just results. They're embarrassed now, but they'll never say it out loud. Because what really hurts is knowing that you beat them without even trying. While they were playing for attention, you were building your power. Now they whisper, "Don't mess with that one." And they're right. You don't speak much, but you always see how it's going to end before it even begins. You were never confused. You were calculating. And now, the truth is louder than any argument. You didn't need a fancy degree to see through fakes. They read books. You read people. You don't need a textbook to read energy. You can feel it. You notice the way someone's voice shifts, the way their eyes move, the tone behind the words. You walk into a room and read it like an open book. You know who's real, who's fake, who's plotting, who's performing, and you do it without needing to say a word. You weren't trained in a classroom. You were trained by life. You didn't learn this from a teacher. You learned it from pain, from watching people smile while hiding knives. You didn't need someone to teach you how to notice manipulation. You lived through it. You survived it. That's what made you sharp. That's what made you dangerous. Now picture this. A room full of people in suits, proud of their degrees, thinking they're the smartest people in the room. And then you walk in, calm, collected, silent, and suddenly the whole mood shifts. The air changes because they know, they feel it. Your energy cuts through everything they thought was true. All their ideas, their fake confidence, it shrinks in the presence of someone who didn't learn truth. Someone who feels it. You've always known things you weren't supposed to. It's not magic, it's memory. You remember how it felt right before someone betrayed you. You remember how people acted just before they switched up. And now, your mind picks it up before it even happens. That's why they can't fool you anymore. You don't need credentials. You have wisdom. You don't need to be loud. You just need to be present. That's why they whisper now. Because you weren't trained. You were born for this. When you walk into a room, the whole setup starts to shake. You don't destroy fake systems with noise. You destroy them by not needing them. Your presence is an audit. The moment you show up, the truth starts leaking out. You don't even have to speak. Just your energy is enough to make people nervous. The people who used to act so sure of themselves now stumble over their own words. Because you don't follow the crowd. You don't play along. In a world that survives on fake roles and rehearsed reactions, your honesty is dangerous. It shakes everything. You're not laughing at the jokes meant to hide truth. You're not pretending things are okay just to keep the peace. That's why your presence causes panic. You didn't join the show, you came to show the truth. If you feel this stirring inside you, drop 77 in the comments now. Let every other chosen one know that the shift has begun. Stay tuned, because what comes next will shake you to your core. You let them believe you were slow just so you could watch them fall on their own pride. They really thought they were shining until the truth hit your silence and made everything they were doing look fake. See, real intelligence doesn't need to rush. It waits. It watches. It lets people show their true selves when pressure shows up. You've mastered something that most people don't even know is a form of intelligence: patience. You didn't have to shout or brag about how smart you were. You just knew how to sit back and let people expose themselves with their own behavior. While they were busy using big words, trying to be the loudest, pretending they were in charge, you were sitting quiet, tracking every move they made, every fake smile, every little slip, like a calm sniper who doesn't need to move unless it's time. Picture a room full of people all trying to sound deep, trying to out-talk one another. You're just sitting there, not because you have nothing to say, but because you're letting them tell on themselves. Every word they said gave you another piece of the puzzle. Every time they contradicted themselves, it was like a breadcrumb leading you closer to the full picture. And that's your real gift, chosen one. You don't speak to prove a point, you observe to get the truth. You're not in these places to argue or show off. You're there to read what's really going on. And by the time they finally realize you're not clueless, you've already figured out their whole game. You expected them to look down on you. You let them. Because people always reveal who they really are when they think you're not a threat. That's when their mask slips. That's when the fake confidence starts showing cracks. That's when the so-called smart ones are exposed as insecure people who are scared of anyone with real wisdom. And the wild part is, you never had to raise your voice or cut them off. You just waited for the moment when it mattered. And when that moment came, you dropped the truth so smoothly they didn't even know what hit them. That's how they found out. You weren't confused, you were calculating. And while they were trying to look smart, you were being the only one in the room who really understood. You don't just think, you feel the truth before it even shows up. While everyone else is trying to figure out patterns and signs, you're already sensing something's off just by the energy in the air. Your clarity doesn't come from books, it comes from life. You don't think your way to the truth, you move in it. And that's what makes you different. People hear you call things out before they even happen and think you're just guessing. But it's not guessing. You're tuned in to something they can't measure. They trust numbers and results. You trust what shifts in the silence. They depend on what they can see. You rely on what you can feel. And the truth is, your clarity doesn't come from what makes sense on paper. It comes from connection. Your body knows when something isn't right. Your gut tells you when someone is pretending. And even when someone looks perfect on the surface, good job, fancy title, big smile, you can still feel when something underneath isn't adding up. That kind of awareness isn't taught, it's built. It comes from being in rooms where the words sounded right, but the energy was wrong. Imagine walking into a space where everything seems calm, but your chest tightens. Your instincts say something's not right, and your body just knows. You don't have proof yet, but you already feel it. That's not paranoia, that's your gift. You don't just understand things with logic, you understand with your whole being. And that's why your words hit deeper than anyone else's. You don't talk just to talk. You speak from experience, from what you've lived and felt. Your truth doesn't need facts and figures, it just needs to be heard, because once it's spoken, everything starts to make sense. People try to argue with you, using statistics or quotes, but they don't realize you're not in a debate. You're speaking from a place they can't touch, and that kind of knowing doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be true. You weren't guessing. You were guided. You didn't need to prove anything. The truth stood tall all by itself. You didn't embarrass them. The truth did. When you spoke, it wasn't to shine or show off. You just told the truth. And they weren't ready for it. They were so used to being the smartest person in the room, the one everyone looks to for answers. People praised them out of habit, out of fear, out of comfort. Nobody questioned them until you walked in, and the whole vibe shifted. Not because you tried to take over, but because your calm energy exposed the show. You didn't come in loud or arrogant, but the second they tried to challenge you, tried to throw around their title or flex their ego, you replied with steady truth. No show, no noise, just clarity. And the silence that followed, that was the sound of their false image cracking. You didn't need to prove they were fake. Their own reaction proved it. When someone who's used to controlling the room gets exposed by someone who didn't even try, that hits different. Everyone around them saw it too. The fear, the fake wisdom, the shaky foundation. You didn't humiliate them, you just stopped pretending they were right. And in doing that, you let the truth do all the work. That's what they can't handle. You didn't make them look small. They realized they weren't as big as they acted. Now they whisper about you not because you were aggressive, but because you were solid. Because in a room full of noise, you were the one voice they couldn't ignore. You were unshakable, and that haunts them. Because if one moment of your honesty could unravel their whole image, what else do you see that they're hiding? You never tried to act like you know everything. But what you do have is something most people don't. The ability to feel what others can't even notice. You don't need to be the loudest or the smartest in the room. You don't need attention. You're not trying to win the conversation. While others talk fast and loud, you're picking up on what's being hidden in their tone. You can feel sadness behind a smile. You can sense tension behind a joke. You can hear truth in silence. Your intelligence doesn't live in your head. It lives in your awareness. They thought you were being quiet because you didn't have anything to say. But you were just letting them talk while you were taking in everything. Your way of understanding people doesn't come from analyzing, it comes from being present. You notice the small things, a shift in how someone breathes, a pause where there shouldn't be one, the way someone blinks or smiles when they lie. You feel those things. And that kind of insight doesn't come from books. It comes from being tuned in on a soul level. Imagine being in a room full of people throwing around their big ideas. Then you say one calm, clear sentence, and suddenly no one knows what to say. Not because you shouted, not because you took over, but because your words hit where everyone else's bounced off. You're not trying to sound deep. You just speak truth. And that's more powerful than anything. You don't just respond to what's on the surface, you feel what's underneath. And that's why people either pull back from you or stare like they've just been exposed. You're not a know-it-all, you're a feel-it-all. And that makes you different in a way they can't even explain. You break illusions just by showing up. You don't even need to say anything. You walk in and the lies start falling apart on their own. Your silence doesn't just sit in a room. It reveals what's really going on in it. You don't need a big platform or a mic to change someone's mindset. You don't need to yell. All you need is one pause, one stare, one moment, and people start hearing their own fake words echo. Not because you pushed them, but because your energy made them feel everything they were trying to hide. You don't fix people. You wake them up, and that can't be copied or faked. It's something in you. Picture someone who's been living in their ego, hiding behind lies. Then you walk in, and without saying much, their walls start to shake. You don't attack, you just hold space. And in that space, they start hearing themselves clearly for the first time. That's what makes you powerful. Not because you force people to change, but because being around you makes their lies uncomfortable. You don't bring confusion, you bring clarity. And when clarity enters a room that's built on performance, everything starts falling apart. That's why people start talking about you behind closed doors. It's not because you were harsh, it's because they couldn't keep pretending around you. You didn't come to join their game. You came to end the show. You can feel a lie before the sentence is even finished. Some people need facts to catch dishonesty. You don't. All it takes is a change in voice, a strange pause, or a weird energy, and you already know something isn't right. They thought they were putting on a good act, not realizing you were already watching the whole thing play out. You don't need a lie detector. You are the detector. While others are still trying to figure out what's being said, you've already locked in on what's being hidden. The voice that sounds too smooth, the eye contact that's just a little off, the smile that doesn't match the words. You catch all of it without saying anything. You let them talk, digging their own hole with every word, while you're just standing there, tracking everything in real time. You don't look for confessions. You collect truth. You don't chase down the lie. You let the energy show you the truth. And the scariest part for them is you don't even react. You just go quiet. And that silence, that's what breaks them. Because they can feel you noticed. They know you caught them, and it drives them crazy. You didn't need to confront anyone. You didn't have to say, "I know you're lying." You just stayed calm. And that calm made them start to unravel. That's what your silence does. It exposes. It cuts deeper than shouting ever could. And that's why they tell others, watch what you say around that one. They'll know if you're fake. You didn't build that reputation by being loud. You built it by being right, by always noticing what others missed. Your mind has become a warning sign. People used to laugh behind your back. Now, they whisper your name with caution. You're not a threat because you're aggressive. You're a threat because you see everything too clearly, too quickly. Your name doesn't float through rooms as a joke anymore. It walks in with weight, with silence, with a presence that makes people stop and rethink everything. And that's not because you tried to scare anyone. You were never the one chasing attention or conflict. You just stayed alert, and the more you stayed focused, the more they saw they couldn't control you. They couldn't lie to you. They couldn't play the same old tricks, because you were reading it all before they finished speaking. You were noticing the patterns, watching the setups, feeling the fake kindness. At first, they thought you were just easy to control, that your silence meant you didn't get it. But now they know you were never behind, you were always ahead, and when you moved, you didn't yell, you just shifted, and the whole situation changed. That's why they talk now, not to gossip, to warn. Don't try that with her. He's quiet, but he knows. You've become a problem for people who live off lies, not because you attack, but because your awareness burns through every mask. You don't have to argue. Your energy already said everything. You didn't learn this in a classroom. You earned it in every hard moment, every betrayal, every time someone thought they were getting away with something and you saw through them. Now you carry that sharpness, and no one is ready for it until it's too late. You're not the soft one anymore. You're not the easy one anymore. You're the one they whisper about, not out of hate, but out of respect wrapped in fear. They know. Your silence isn't empty. It's loaded with truth. And now, chosen one, you understand. Your mind doesn't just think, it sees, it senses, it protects. You were never just intelligent, you were always something much deeper, and that's why your presence shakes rooms even when you don't say a word. You don't need proof. You are the proof, and that's exactly why they talk. That's why your name moves through circles with weight and tension. You weren't trying to be a threat. You were just too accurate to ignore. If today's message resonates with your spirit, write 77 in the comments below and declare your readiness. This is your moment to show your strength, not just to yourself, but to the world. So, my beloved chosen family, your love inspires us to create meaningful content just for you. If our efforts have touched your heart, you can show your support by clicking the super thanks button on your YouTube screen. Every bit of your kindness means the world to us and keeps us going. Thank you for being the amazing support system that you are. We're forever grateful for your love and encouragement. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.